when this comes up for review and the district goes to purchase it again, I'm at the board meeting saying, I am asking you again. And I cite research and I bring, other studies, and I just say, please stop purchasing this stuff. And they don't. So I'm hoping that if I'm on the board, I can finally have a say in the high quality instruction that we need to be providing our students, especially those with learning differences. So those are kind of my two big things for money. My priority list?
Yes.
Should I start on that next?
Yes, please. Go with some of your priority lists there and tell us what ideas you have in that area.
Sure. It's very interesting because all of these answers are going to be so different than they were the last time we spoke because of the pandemic. This is bringing a whole new perspective to what is truly going to happen in the fall. Will we open schools? Will we do a blended model? Will we stay closed and wait until spring semester to open? Nobody really knows. But one of the greatest things that happened due to this pandemic is the fact that this year we did not have any high stakes state testing, the FSA. Parents are thrilled. Students are relieved. Teachers are just thrilled, although kind of cautious because they don't know what accountability measure that the districts and the state will use when they go to either renew their contract or whether or not they get a raise or whether or not they're transferred to a different school. So that's a little nerve-wracking for teachers, but for families, we couldn't be happier. And when we look at the millions and millions of dollars that we spend on a single test, that it's ride or die with this test. I mean, you can't go to fourth grade. You are forcibly remediated in Manatee County based on that one test score. You are denied access to advanced classes, AP classes, ACE. But some of the academically advanced students, you could have A's in all of your AP classes, and then you take the FSA and you don't get the 3, and suddenly you've lost some of your favorite electives, and you're now stuck in front of a computer every day doing this mindless mastery-based software program, which is already. It's very, very frustrating for families. So my hope is, and it's kind of looking like this is the disaster is going to actually make the call for us for next year. High stakes testing will probably be eliminated again. So that's thrilling to me. So that would be something that I would, if we do get back to school and the state decides they want to try this again, there are options for families. It's called opting out. It is our right as parents to do as such. And I am more than happy to, from my position as a school board member, explain to students and to families how to opt out, when to opt out, how it doesn't affect our school grade or our teacher pay. And so that's something that's very, very important to me. I've been very active in the opt-out movement for the last 5-6 years now. The other thing that my priority is to, we passed a referendum here in Manatee County to provide more money for public schools and for teacher salaries. There was a recent court case in Palm Beach County where Palm Beach County said, we don't want to share the referendum money that we have coming in with our charter companies. They are individual corporations that run them. They are small businesses. The whole purpose of charters was to do more with less money, which is why they were one of the reasons why they were created in the first place, to relieve them of all the regulation. And they sold us the bill of goods because now in the state of Florida, the state said we have to share that referendum money with charters. There was a recent court case now that said the state Supreme Court said we don't have to, which is wonderful. But they left the choice up to the districts. And in the meantime, Manatee County is continuing to give our charters money from the tax referendum. And what's frustrating with that is you get the money but you don't have the same accountability as our traditional public schools. So you are holding our traditional public schools to a higher standard. You're funneling money away from our traditional public schools to these for-profit organizations. And it's very, very frustrating to see. So my hope would be that any charters coming before the district would have to, I'm not a very pro-charter person. I also do not support vouchers. Vouchers used to be only funded with a tax donation from different corporate entities, and they could say, use my tax dollars and give them to religious and private schools, and they'll compete against the traditional public schools. They will not have the same accountability, and they will funnel students away from the traditional public schools, and there with them we lose funding, and it's been a very frustrating experience to watch. The legislature last year did decide that because tax donations were drying up, they were just going to just take it directly from the taxpayers, from taxpayer money that is supposed to be earmarked for traditional public schools. And that's the way Governor DeSantis is going to have the ability to do this, $1 billion a year for the next 3 years. That's not okay with me. So my hope is that to just try and be a voice as on the school board to educate parents as to what's happening in regard to our finances, and to let them know that when you go to the polls, elections really matter. And it troubles me to see my hard-earned tax dollars going to a religious school, especially with the, our foundation of the separation of church and state. And in addition to the fact that my kids in public schools are losing arts programs or funding for extra teaching positions, the whole host of things that can be done with tax dollar money that is just a real burden on our traditional public schools. So those are my top three, my priority.
Excellent, excellent. Bridget, we're down to about 4 minutes here, so I wanted you to comment on the same a little bit here in the last few minutes, and also summarize some of your thoughts here. The very thing you were just saying, the charter school situation, they're not held accountable. Many of these are not held accountable under the same standards that the public schools are, and money's diverted away from them. Can you give me some comments here in the last 2 or 3 minutes we've got?
Sure. In regard to charters?
Yes. And
okay.
Explain to people very briefly why they're not held accountable, and that they don't have to fulfill the same standards that the public schools do.
Right. Well, it's an interesting time because, like legislators say, you don't let a good natural disaster go to waste. And a lot of my posts I put out there is #disastercapitalism. With this pandemic, not only are these schools getting our traditional public monies that are pulled from our schools and given to religious and private schools, now we have at the federal level, Betsy DeVos is making sure that these private and these charter schools get the care funds from the CARE legislation and the PPP, with the payroll, the special loans, and because a charter corporation is a business, a religious school is a business. So, for example, it's sad to say, but Donald Trump's own son attends a very wealthy, expensive private school in Maryland. That school is taking some of those federal bailout funds. Obama's daughters went to Sidwell Friends in D.C. Sidwell Friends is taking millions and millions of dollars in those bailout funds. Unfortunately, every state has to then go to the feds and to Betsy DeVos and say, our state only has so much money. We have to have our budget for the upcoming year is going to be spent on PPE and social distancing and extra transportation. I mean, the myriad of things that we will be spending money on with this new opening, it will be an incredible burden. So already in Manatee County, we're seeing major staffing cuts at all of our public schools. And so it's very frustrating to watch what's happening. So our state has an option. Our legislature can go and ask for federal funds. But we have our member of the House, Tommy Gregory, sits on a special commission called ALEC, the American Legislative, I think, Executive Council. And ALEC as a body, and we have 10 members of our Florida legislature that sit on ALEC, and they have written a public statement that said, we will not be asking the feds for a bailout in any way, shape, or form for any of our state entities,
Okay,
and including
Bridget,
public education. Yeah.
Okay, we have run out of time here. That's excellent. Thank you so
Sorry.
much for being with us today, and I appreciate it. And good luck in your race here. Okay.
Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.
You too. Thank you for
Bye-bye.
listening, and we hope you have enjoyed today's discussion. This has been Coastal Progressive and Rainbow Forum on Society Bites Radio, and I've been your host, Steve Ryan.